This is your host, Danny, and this is Do You Know from English Plus Podcast. In today's Do You Know episode, we're going to learn about the Wright brothers. If you don't know about the Wright brothers, you will learn about them. And there is more to that, because if you would like to practice a little bit more, you can go to my website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com. The link is in the description, and you will have a PDF downloadable worksheet that you can use to practice what you have learned. And in the description as well, there is another link that will take you to my Patreon page. Support me on Patreon to help me continue creating the content you love. And now, without further ado, let's start talking about the Wright brothers. It lasted only 12 seconds, but those 12 seconds changed history. On December the 17th, 1903, two brothers named Orville and Wilbur Wright made the first airplane flight. Wilbur Wright was born in Millville, Indiana in 1867. Orville was born in Dayton, Ohio in 1871. Neither boy graduated from high school, but mechanical things fascinated the young Wright brothers. They taught themselves math and engineering. In 1892, the brothers opened a shop in Dayton where they designed and built bicycles. So what sparked their interest in flying? The Wright brothers became interested in the work of German inventor Otto Lilienthal. Lilienthal designed and flew on gliders. Lilienthal died in a glider crash in 1896. The brothers decided to build a flying machine. They also were determined to learn how to control flight safely. They began experimenting with large kites. The Wright's kites had controls that let them wrap the ends of the wings. This wrapping helped them to make the kite more stable and to adjust its direction of flight. In 1900, the brothers built a huge kite with wings that stretched 17 feet or 5 meters. The kite was large enough to carry a person. They tested their flights near the town of Kitty Hawk on the coast of North Carolina. This location was ideal. Steady winds from the ocean lifted the kite into the air. The kite crashed on sand dunes, which was safer than crashing into trees or solid ground. Wilbur actually flew on the kite for a few seconds. Next, the Wrights built a wooden glider. In 1901, they experimented on the larger sand dunes at Kill Devil Hills. The glider had arched wings, a design that made the glider more stable. It also had hand controls that worked a flap on the tail to control up and down movements. But the brothers needed a design with even more stability and control. So that means more tests and experiments. The Wrights designed and built a wind tunnel, a wooden box 6 feet or 2 meters long with a fan blowing in one end. They tested models of different wing shapes in the wind that blew through the tunnel. They also tried new ways to control their gliders. In 1902, the Wrights built a new glider with a wingspan of 32 feet or 10 meters. They added a movable rudder to the back of the glider to help steer. Their tests were so successful that they decided to build an engine-powered flying machine. And that brings us to the first powered flight. The brothers built their own small engine. They also built a propeller. Their plane weighed 750 pounds or 340 kilograms. Its wings stretched 40 feet or 12 meters across. On December the 17th, 1903, Orville made the first successful flight. He stayed in the air for 12 seconds. Wilbur also made flights that day. In the last flight, Wilbur stayed in the air for 59 seconds and traveled 852 feet or 260 meters. So how did the Wrights promote flying? The brothers continued perfecting their plane. They practiced piloting machines with more powerful engines. These planes made longer flights and sharper turns. The Wrights gave public demonstrations of flying in both the United States and Europe. Orders for planes rolled in from governments around the world. In 1909, the brothers formed the Wright Company to build airplanes. By that time, they produced a plane stable enough for a 20-mile or 32-kilometer flight. Wilbur died of typhoid fever in 1912. Orville sold the company in 1915 and spent time doing more research. By 1918, other companies had begun to build airplanes. Orville won many awards for his work before his death in 1948. So that was our story about the Wright brothers. I hope you learned something new. And remember, it's English plus. So that is the plus part. You don't only learn English, but you learn other useful things as well. And don't forget, if you want to practice the words that we learned here, etc., you can go to my website. There is a link in the description that will take you to the custom post I created for this episode, where you will find a PDF downloadable worksheet. And of course, you will find the story of the Wright brothers if you would like to read it as well. And with that being said, that'll be everything for today. This is your host, Danny. Thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. I will see you next time.